There's a moment in the show, in the movie, where Rose is playing the piano and she's attempting to play this song and making some mistakes along the way. And we have Phil then playing the banjo in a totally different room, upstairs in his bedroom, but playing the same song with perfection. And there is so much tension in this moment that this, to me, was the gun standoff. This was like that shot of the hands right next to the trigger and like, who's gonna shoot first? It was one of those Western feeling moments, but in this completely new, redefined way. And I'd love to hear about the ways that you made that scene feel the way that it did.
Yeah, you're very much correct. Like we thought of that. Sometimes we call that scene the duel, and it is a duel. They really, it starts off like a duel or a duet, and then it becomes very clear that Phil's not only playing it perfectly, he's kind of putting even his own spin on it. You know, he's an artist, and she's kind of not even. She realizes she's not even at the level of a kind of student, and he's gone beyond. He's doing the remix already, and she's can't even do the original. Yeah. And yeah, tension as well. It's a complex thing. We do know it's like incredibly satisfying to watch. It's something that we don't tend to seek out, tension in our day-to-day lives, but when we see it in a movie, we want it to keep going and we want it to be over at the same time. It really like gets you. It's very memorable, and it does create. That's the magic of cinema. Like you are feeling that some of what Rose is feeling really in your body. There's muscle tension going on. There's one particular shot where the camera's it's moving when she's playing, and then it stops when she stops, and then it moves again when she plays, and you're very with her. You're in the flow, and then you're like adrenaline, like panic, and then you get back in the flow, and then you panic, and it eventually kind of drifts onto her once she's really kind of given up. She's been crushed by Phil's artistry. But I think as well, what it really does come down to information. It doesn't sound very romantic or like exciting, but it's like you need to set up some information in order to feel the tension as well. There's the idea of well, there's also everything that's happened up to the point of this scene where you've set up.
Of course, yeah.
You've got to see kind of Phil's tantrums and how manipulative he is, and what a kind of passive aggressive bully he is, or just an aggressive person. So that can't be underestimated. How much setup comes. They're not two complete strangers. They've got a history that's already very tense. And she knows that she's not welcome in this place. She's found herself in kind of a bind between needing to fulfill two needs, that kind of to be discreet and keep to herself and not draw attention to herself, and eventually have to be the center of attention. And so she's already we go into this scene with all of that set up, and then we see her closing all these doors. And we get the idea she's doing her best to not draw attention to herself. But actually in part of the design of the whole house, which was really in many ways designed with this scene as its core important bit, some of the angles and all those doors, etc., and the eye line from the piano to fill the house. We started designing it really around this scene. So yeah, you see her closing all these doors, but also she can't. She's already in trouble because there is no space where she can be private. So we have that piece of information. She's trying to close the doors, and then we see her playing. We get some information that is she's good. She can kind of play, but she's not. She doesn't. She can't do this particular tune. And we see that she's lost. She's quite lost in what she's doing. She's making a note and keeping going, and she's almost forgotten for a moment about that tension. And then we see a door opening. We see a door that was previously closed is opened, and the sound plays a huge part as well, because usually Phil's feet on the stairs are very loud, and in this case they're silent. She's missed it. She's missed that information, but we saw the information. And then then we see a shot of the shots of Phil are we've set up that he can see her, but she can't see him. And the shots of him are really almost what's in her imagination. They're the big boot and the fingers on the banjo, and then the shots of Phil in that scene are very tight and very low angle, looking right up. It's this accentuating the kind of him looking down and his kind of menace. It's like, I guess metaphorically he looks down on most people, but especially Rose, and he is really up and she's down. It's a very basic kind of power thing that we lent into heavily, but that up down thing is also very it is, as humans, we're like tapped into that. It feels vulnerable to be the one that's down and the one that can't see. And so the shots of Phil are also in many ways Rose's, it's not her literal POV, but it's almost like her mind is imagining as well as it being actually what's happening.